Hello and welcome to National Focus. I am Shakira Peer. In the headlines, a bill for bail application to be proposed to Parliament next week. $18 million regional hurricane shelter is under construction in GIS, and the Discover Dominica Authority launches Saka-Fed campaign. Details of the headline stories and more when we return.
The hurricane season is less than a month away. Find out today what types of hazards that could happen where you live. Hurricanes can cause many hazards, including flooding due to heavy rainfall, large waves along the coast, strong winds, landslides, and falling rocks. Determine your risk and be prepared for any eventuality. A message from the Government Information Service.
Welcome back. A bill for bail application will be taken to Parliament for approval when Parliament convenes next week. Minister for National Security and Home Affairs, Honorable Reuben Blackmore, says the government of Dominica recognizes and respects the rights of individuals accused of crimes to seek and to receive bail.
This intended legislation is in no way an attempt to curtail this fundamental right. However, we must ensure some measure of consistency in the granting of bail as far as possible. The exercise of a judge or magistrate court discretion in admitting an accused person to bail calls for a balancing of the scales by weighing the rights of the accused and the interests and rights and freedoms of others, and the public interests on the other hand.
The National Security Minister says that there should not be an issue of the interest of the individual who is arrested to remain at liberty until he or she is convicted of a crime which is serious to depriving him or she of liberty.
But the community has a countervailing interest in seeking to ensure that the cost of justice is in no way undermined by the flight of the suspect or perverted by his interference with witnesses or evidence, and that he or she does not take advantage while on bail to further commit offenses. We have had situations in the past where persons already accused of a serious offense have gone on to commit another serious offense while on bail. This proposed bill seeks to curtail this type of behavior.
Minister Blackmore says the proposed bill will make it more difficult to receive bail from the court and therefore identifies the more serious offenses.
Those offenses are worse offenses and impact families and communities most harshly. I refer to offenses such as murder, treason, terrorism, serious drug offenses, serious offenses involving the use of illegal firearms, sexual offenses against minors especially, kidnapping, among others.
The bill will also outline the conditions and procedures for bail and give the court the necessary tools to curb the movement of offenders, especially if they are considered a flight risk. Minister Blackmore says this bill also makes provision for those who breach bail's conditions.
This bill also proposes that absconding from bail or breaching bail conditions will be treated very seriously, and this type of behavior carries heavy sanctions under the proposed bill. I must say, overall, we are very proud of this legislation and what it intends and seeks to do. This bill will be taken next week at the sitting of Parliament on the 16th day of December 2020.
The Discover Dominica Authority on Thursday launched a SACAFET campaign. The campaign's objective is to encourage travel from the CARICOM travel bubble and low-risk classified destinations to experience what Dominica has to offer. The countries which will qualify for this campaign are Barbados, St. Vincent and the Grenadines, Grenada, St. Kitts and Nevis, Montserrat, Anguilla, the Cayman Islands, Bermuda, the British Virgin Islands, Turks and Caicos, and Antigua and Barbuda. This SACAFET campaign is geared at stimulating economic activities for Dominica and also marketing Dominica as the #1 destination of choice. Destination Marketing Manager of the Discover Dominica Authority, Ms. Melinda Hassel, says this is the perfect time for those considering a vacation to come to Dominica.
We welcome you to experience What's Up in Dominica, where you can immerse yourself in the depths of nature's beauty and get a taste of endless adventures that await, or explore a country beloved by those seeking authentic Caribbean culture and a world of relaxation for the mind, body, and soul. With the SACAFET campaign, we invite you to discover accommodation specials, inclusive of airport transfers, breakfasts, and tours on the Nature Island. This campaign is valid until the end of February of next year. So there's plenty time to plan and book a trip to Dominica.
12 properties have partnered with the DDA to make this campaign possible. All these properties are COVID-19 certified and continues to adhere to the protocols of the Ministry of Health.
I want to thank the 12 partners, accommodation partners. All are COVID-19 certified. So it's extremely important that they were also part of the COVID-19 certification, and they are adhering to all of the highest, with the hygiene protocols and safety to ensure that you feel safe and secure when coming to the island. So I want to thank Tamarind Tree, Jungle Bay Dominica, Seed Creek Bay, Fort Young Hotel, Manicao River, Rosalie Bay Resort, Aura, Riverside Hotel, Hibiscus Valley Inn, Hotel de Champs, Secret Creek Plantation, and Tukari Cottages. I want to thank you all for joining us in this campaign and for your support. As you can see, these are accommodations that are spread out throughout the island that offer various facilities and amenities and breathtaking views.
Chief Executive Officer of the Discover Dominica Authority, Mr. Colin Piper, says this initiative strongly targets citizens of Barbados. He outlined the protocols travelers from Barbados would have to follow before arriving into Dominica.
To our friends in Barbados, this is particularly for you. The pre-arrival protocols are very easy to meet and do not present a challenge. You simply need to fill out your online health screening form, which once processed will provide you with a health clearance to travel to Dominica. This health clearance should be provided to the airline at check-in. And once you land in Dominica, you'll go through a series of steps to assure your safety, namely temperature checks, hand sanitization, and to take a rapid test. Once you test negative on the rapid test, you will continue with the arrival process through immigration, customs, to your COVID-19 certified taxi operator, and on to your COVID certified property. While on island, you will submit yourself to checks by the medical professionals.
Mr. Piper also spoke of the protocols put in place for individuals coming from the low-risk countries.
For our friends from the low-risk countries, you have one additional step to that of Barbados, and that is to upload a negative PCR test result where the samples were obtained within 24 to 72 hours prior to arrival as part of that online health screening submission. And once you receive your health clearance to travel, you should then present that clearance to the airlines at check-in. Once on island here, your arrival process is similar to that of what I just mentioned. And while you are here on island, you will be monitored for 7 days, as well as submitting yourself to scheduled checks from the medical team.
After being hard hit by Hurricane Maria in 2017, government continues to place emphasis on building back better and stronger. Prime Minister and Minister for Finance Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit announced the government would be constructing regional hurricane shelters to accommodate citizens in times of disasters. Construction work on the $18 million regional hurricane facility has commenced in GIS.
We're also seeing serious work being done on the hurricane shelter / research center in the GIS area to the tune of $18 million. It will be a three-story structure to house a minimum of 500 people and persons from GIS, Taru, Canefield, Roger, Massac. In the event that people have to be moved to a shelter, that facility will serve them. And the resource center will also be served, will also serve the people of GIS. So I'm very much happy for that.
A regional hurricane shelter is also being built in Castle Bruce for residents of the Northeast. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit is encouraging Dominicans to support local manufacturers. He says support for local manufacturers should be the priority of every Dominican in order for them to thrive.
Each of us in Dominica need to look at our consumption practices. What do we buy for our homes? What do we buy for businesses? And are some of the things produced and manufactured here and available from local hands and local artisans? And should we not be making these things our priority in terms of purchasing? I'm not a businessman, I'm just a village politician. So you're business people there. You will sell what people will buy. Nobody's going to stock up things that people don't buy. As long as you buy something, if you're not buying it, then you won't buy any more of it. And I think we need to demand more local stuff. There is absolutely no reason why we should not be using these soaps manufactured in Dominica.
The Prime Minister went on to call on the private sector to take advantage of the opportunities provided within the budget for manufacturers.
And this is why when you look at the budget that was presented this year, in the midst of a global pandemic which no one can determine when will be the end of it, the extent of our generosity in terms of tax breaks and incentives was extraordinary. And therefore, we as a private sector need to take full advantage of it in the quickest possible time.
Prime Minister Skerrit says many manufacturing businesses fly under the radar. Therefore, much work needs to be done to promote these businesses on island in order to build a larger support system for these manufacturers.
There are lots of manufacturing taking place, albeit in small scale, cottage industry type fashion. What we need to do in the Dominica Manufacturers Association is to allow these enterprises to be mainstream. A lot of them are off the record and they're not properly captured in the statistics of the country in terms of their contribution to the GDP of our country. Because folks have markets in Guadeloupe and Martinique, what do? They put it in some boxes and some suitcases and they export their produce to Martinique and Guadeloupe. It passes as hand luggage or luggage, checked luggage. So it's not captured as an export. And so we need to work on this to see how we can make these businesses mainstream.
Building resilience in the agriculture sector remains a priority for government. The United Nations Development Programme, UNDP, in collaboration with the Inter-America Institute for Cooperation on Agriculture, IICA, and the government of Dominica, is implementing a project strengthening disaster management capacity of women in the Cooperative Republic of Guyana and the Commonwealth of Dominica. The objective of the project is to support hazard-prone communities, especially vulnerable groups, including women, in strengthening disaster and climate risk resilience towards enhancing sustainable livelihoods within such communities in Dominica and Guyana. Permanent Secretary in the Ministry for Blue and Green Economy, Agriculture and National Food Security, Dr. Reginald Thomas, says the ministry values the support they have been given as it highlights women who are a vulnerable group in the agricultural sector.
Our women many times are marginalized, although I would say it's not very apparent in our setting because many of our farmers are women and they contribute significantly, and the ministry recognizes and the government of Dominica recognize their contribution to the sector.
Project coordinator for UNDP, Ms. Sawana Fabian, says the project is 3 years long and they are currently in the first year of implementation.
Firstly, the objective of the project is to support hazard-prone communities, especially vulnerable groups. And the vulnerable groups that we're targeting on this project is the parish of St. Paul, St. Patrick, and St. David. And this is to basically strengthen the disaster and climate resilience towards sustainable livelihoods within the communities. This project is implemented in Dominica as well as in Guyana. It's majorly a gender-responsive project. So we're, as the title says, we're targeting women. We're not just targeting men and women and excluding men. We're actually targeting the vulnerable groups, but we understand that women are listed the most vulnerable. Apart from children, women are listed the most vulnerable. And there are different experiences that women face that makes them more vulnerable than men.
Value chain consultant Ms. Anthea Joshua says the project's objective is to strengthen the risk capacity of women in the agricultural sector, as often women are both farmers and head of their households.
This activity, this whole assignment will definitely improve the livelihoods of women. Especially the other factor is that women are more inclined to do the value added than the field work. Because even when you look at the persons employed in agriculture, even on holdings owned by women, the majority of the persons employed are men. So we need to look for ways for them to increase their income earning capacity, right? But that they are comfortable with.
You're watching National Focus. More when we return.
I love the freedom when I'm out there. Simply put, the worries from shore, none of that out there. And it's my daily bread. I learned it from my dad. My dad is one of the senior guys here who catch the biggest fish around here. And he's top with the red snappers. It's a family thing. I'm the only one fishing right now in the family. Just keeping it going. I enjoy bringing them up, man. Sometimes you have a yellowfin tuna, 400 pounds. Man, let me tell you, that's just a joy out there. I enjoy going out there and just holding the big fish. I don't lift weights, I lift fish. The morning of my fishing trip, I would get up, make a little spice tea. Then I come down here. I have my GPS, which most fishermen are supposed to have that. Normally I prepare the day before, because whenever you go out there, you must have ice. Ice is a must for preservation of the fish. So I always make sure I have everything the day before. My fish represents me, and I bring good quality fish ashore simply because the restaurants themselves, they have to show a quality product. Tourism and agriculture go hand in hand, that's what I think. We're all connected, it's like a big machine, and I'm just so proud to be a part of it. My name is Brandon Carlisle, and tourism is my business.
Welcome back. One male resident of the community of Daly, Sorias Darme, now has better living conditions. This as a home was constructed for him by the joint efforts of individuals from a number of communities across the island. Outgoing chairperson of the Daly's Village Council, Mr. Michael Etienne, says some of the materials needed to construct the home was donated by the government of Dominica.
We all come together, you know. The government assisted in some materials. The materials we have was another home we had built, but the person has since passed on, and the materials were good materials, so we are transposing it to a new place for this guy, because you know, resources are scarce. You know, we can't waste things. So yes, this is a joint venture. I mean, we have people here from Vicars, from Roseau, from Font Saint-Jean, from Bacatel, from Daly's, from La Plaine, from Grand Fond, from Cassibros. So yes, this this is a holistic, beautiful day, and it's a beautiful project.
He says another project was also undertaken in the community.
We also have another project on the other side of the list where we're building Mr. Neil James, who is blind. His front porch roof was destroyed during Hurricane Maria, so we're trying to cover it up and put a front door, because when rain falls, the rain runs in from underneath the door.
Mr. Etienne expressed his gratitude for the assistance received.
I always say every day above ground is a good day, and today is a good day in Dalis, because sometimes we start a project, it's not finished, but the hardest part is starting it. And the help that we have here today is enabling us to continue something good, something that will make us feel proud of the community that we live in.
As the government of Dominica continues to fight the COVID-19 pandemic, the Ministry of Health, Wellness and New Health Investment continues community testing to ensure that the COVID-19 situation is monitored closely. Dominica now has 87 confirmed cases of COVID-19, with 6 cases still active. National epidemiologist Dr. Sholadin Ahmed says the ministry will commence community testing next week.
Our target of population includes elderly folks in the nursing care setting, frontline workers at the Douglas Charles Airport, contact tracing team members in primary care, including staff at the quarantine facility, bus drivers, and other selected communities like the fisher folks in Forseza, in Woodford Hill, and Dewick community. Now, this community testing will be conducted using the serology method. That is an antibody testing method, and a total of 400 tests will be conducted.
Dr. Ahmed says the objective of this exercise is to detect the level of exposure to the COVID-19 virus in the communities. Prime Minister Honorable Roosevelt Skerrit says government is proceeding cautiously with its new entrepreneurship visa program. In the past, Dominica's CBI program has been an object of scrutiny by international bodies as a tax haven. However, Prime Minister Skerrit hopes to prevent this perception in the future with this program.
We've had to be very careful how we formulate this program, because as you know, the institutions like the OECD and others would like to find ways of regionalizing us, and so they impose restrictions on countries like ours. And so we have to be very careful how we went about formulating this, because we don't want it to be seen in any way, because it is certainly not the case, of encouraging any perception of tax avoidance. And this is a major preoccupation of the OECD, the EU, and our friends from the G7. And so we have to be very careful, and we have to seek advice and further advice, and to ensure that we are nowhere close to be perceived as doing that.
Prime Minister Skerrit has challenged the Dominica Association of Industry and Commerce, DAIC, to continue playing a role in the protection of Dominica's heritage.
We must not only speak out when we believe that we ourselves personally are being affected. We must stand up when we believe that our neighbor is affected. Because if our neighbor gets affected, eventually it will come across to us. And so then we have to stand on, we must never negotiate our principles. We have to stand somewhere. We have to be philosophical in our views, ideological in our views sometimes. And to stand in defense of our patrimony, defense of our sovereignty in this Caribbean community. And I think that we are, as a collective region, we are letting down existing generations and also succeeding generations by not making these things our business.
The Dominica Manufacturers Association calls for manufacturers to take advantage of regional opportunities. President of the Dominica Manufacturers Association, Mr. John Robbins, says manufacturers should be market ready in order to benefit from inter-Caribbean trade agreements.
You have to recognize that we are part of an economic union that allows us duty-free to all those countries. And how can we take advantage of the principle of economies of scale, reduce our costs and penetrate all those markets? And not only that, but we have relationships, we have certain agreements with a lot of countries like the USA. We have agreement with Canada, we have agreement with the EU, with England. We have the Mercosur, we have signed all kinds of agreements. These people are sending products to us. 99% of all the products on our markets come from those countries. The question is, what are we producing to sell to them? So the problem, we have to do our homework. We have to do our homework. But critically, we have to first of all pay attention to intra-Caribbean trade. That is, let us try to get our product duty-free to all the islands in the Caribbean.
Mr. Robbins says there is support from government and manufacturers should take full advantage of the concessions that are available to them. The Rotary Club of Dominica has partnered with GIS Group Canada to launch a Dominica Smart Distance Learning project at a cost of $104,000. The project is aimed at enabling individuals to access training in sustainable building techniques that meet Dominica's need for climate-resilient construction. President of the Rotary Club of Dominica, Mr. Delbert Paris, says the need to create sustainability in the construction sector came into sharp focus as the country was ravaged by Hurricane Maria, and therefore it became a priority for the club.
The Rotary Club of Dominica is putting on, together with a number of our partners, two partners out of Canada, namely the Rotary Club of Orleans and the Rotary Club of Nepean Kanata out of Ottawa, Canada. We came together that's after Hurricane Maria, and a number of ideas floated. And one of the ways we thought we could really contribute to Dominica's rebuilding is through better sustainable building techniques and construction.
Preparation work for the project is expected to begin in December with the installation of 2 smart classrooms to facilitate distance learning. The courses will equip individuals in the construction sector with the technical and vocational skills which will put Dominica on a path to building resilience.
If we can successfully achieve a distance learning program that will allow the people of Dominica, students in Dominica, people in the construction industry in Dominica to benefit from an online learning service that will pass on technical and vocational skills and sustainable techniques to help towards Dominica's rebuilding.
Mr. Paris says the club is partnering with Rotary International, the Ministry of Education, Human Resource Planning, Vocational Training and National Excellence, the Ministry of Telecommunications and Broadcasting, and the Dominica State College to achieve the desired outcome of development and implementation of a learning management system.
The intention here is to install or develop and implement a learning management system that will allow us to have several different classrooms on island. We're starting with 2 of them with our pilot stage, and that's going to be at the State College, and one is the other classroom in our pilot is going to be at the Portsmouth Secondary School. And we're also setting up a smart classroom in Ottawa, Canada as well. What that will do is allow students from different parts of the island to participate, not just in live classes using our interactive screens or cameras that will be able to allow students to participate virtually as well.
Mr. Paris says the project is expected to launch in the first quarter of 2021 in the new semester at the Dominica State College. And now your weather update. Under the influence of a high-pressure system, a slight increase in moisture levels is expected to produce cloudiness with scattered showers across the area. On Saturday, a trough system is expected to generate a further increase in cloudiness and scattered showers across parts of the island chain, including Dominica. Moderate sea conditions are expected during the next 24 hours with waves peaking near 7 feet. Small craft operators and sea bathers along the west coast should exercise caution. And that's all for this edition of National Focus. Be sure to follow GIS Dominica on Facebook, YouTube, as well as on Twitter. You can also drop us an email at gis@dominica.gov.dm. From all of us here on the GIS News Production team, I am Shakira Pear. Thanks for watching and have a great weekend.